This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
And welcome back. This is Boomer Life on CL 650. And joining us in the studio today from the BC Seniors Living Association is Executive Director Marlene Williams, along with Sam Zaitoon. He's the Educator Program Specialist from Vancouver Premier College. Terry Lum is here, the Registrar from Vancouver Premier College, and Reid Wilderman from Vancouver Premier College as well, the Director of Education. So we're continuing our discussion right now about the retirement living community in Vancouver, the leadership role of the BC Seniors Living Association in educating, and a couple of key players who are helping educate a whole new crop of employees who have chosen the retirement community as their field of choice. So we just spoke a little bit about the General Managers Program that's available at Thompson River University. And now we're talking about the need for this certificate for employees and supervisors, and thus the creation of the partnership with Vancouver Premier College. We heard a little bit about how it came about. So where are we now in the development process?
Well, I was actually just coming back from a conference in February in LA, as a senior housing conference, and I got an email on my iPhone, and it was from Reid, and he said he introduced himself of who he was and was wanting to know whether I would be interested in meeting with him to discuss an opportunity.
And you said,
sure,
meet with you tomorrow?
Actually, it took us about a month and a half to get together. And so they came out to the BCSLA offices and just met with myself first. And Reid, tell me, I said to him, well, why us? How did you find us? And so...
Yeah, how did this work, Reid?
It was simple to start with. We focus on hospitality at Vancouver Premier College, and we were looking to add a new program. We're experiencing a lot of growth. And all of our research, as we've talked about previously today, leads us to know that this industry, the senior living industry, is just growing rapidly and will continue to grow. And when you start to do any research into senior living in British Columbia, everything will lead you to the BCSLA. They are the most well-known, well-recognized voice of the seniors in the province. So it was obvious to us after our initial research to just contact them directly and see if we could form a partnership. And that's how it all began.
So Marlene, that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, I guess my search engines are working.
So then where did the discussion go from there?
Preliminary, we just touched base and put out the feelers to see if they would be interested. And then we've had a couple of meetings to basically try to get a framework and a shape for the program to develop. As Marlene mentioned earlier, there's already a management type program through Thompson Rivers University. We had envisioned perhaps a program that would help people that are already in the industry and maybe want to upgrade or improve their career to maybe a supervisory position, or else people maybe considering entering the industry and give them some relevant training that would help them not only attain a job but also do well in that job once they are hired.
Yeah, so the nice thing about that is that, and I've had quite a few of my members say to me, I want to have a mentorship program put in place in my building, and I want my employees to know that when they're coming to work for me as a server, that if they do XYZ, they could now be the supervisor. And if they do XYZ, then they could be the dining room manager. And then after the dining room manager, they could be the food and beverage manager. Again, very, very similar to what might happen in a hotel. And there wasn't really anything in place. And so it's great that they get trained in-house. But once you get trained in-house, like myself, I don't have any formal degree in hospitality or in the senior living industry. I actually have a certificate in radio television management, if you can believe it. And so I would maybe be someone that might want to go back and say, you know what, I want to get my certificate in the senior living industry because I've worked in it for 8 years and I have the skills and I have the expertise, and now I want to show everybody that that I actually have accreditation for that. And so that was a really, one of the big motivators when I took this to my board of directors. And then the clincher was, although the program sounded excellent, the clincher was that Sam Zaitoon was going to be the faculty director.
He's on board.
And he's on board. And because he understands what we do, it made it so much easier to be comfortable knowing that the program that's going to be developed by a very reputable, college in BC was going to work for our industry.
So
So that
that-
was the big motivator.
So then, well, of course, Sam brings that huge background with him from the hospitality industry and from the seniors living industry as well. You've got both. You're double-barreled. You're loaded.
That's right.
So now, in the process of developing this program, what's your relationship with the government? Do you need special approval, or how does that work?
Yes.
Terry should speak to that as the
Oh,
registrar.
Terry
Yeah.
Lum, finally.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, excellent.
With regards to this program in the development stages, basically we laid the groundwork in terms of the discussions we've had with the BCSLA. The next step is to basically form a program advisory committee, and what we will do is we will discuss about the potential courses that will be offered in this course, the admission requirements, and what type of certificates that it will lead to. So what we would do is we would submit all this information to the BC government. They're actually called the Private Careers Trainings Institute of BC, PECTIA for short.
Okay.
And once we submit the application for approval, it takes about anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks to get it approved. And once that's approved, then we basically can start marketing this program. So technically, right now, we're not here to, enroll any students or do any sort of marketing. We just want to get the word out about the program that we're currently developing with the BCSLA.
So you must have talked a little bit already about some of the types of courses you would offer.
Well, some of the courses that we currently offer right now, actually the main program is hospitality management. So what we're doing is we're training students to get enough knowledge and experience to prepare themselves for jobs in the real working world. In this case would be hotels. Some of the positions that they would be working in would be like front desk, housekeeping, operations, for example, or even sales and marketing. There's an ongoing need of employees in this industry, so for us it's natural to go into BC Senior Living Management. This sort of program will train either people currently in the hospitality industry, where they would transition into this industry, or anyone who would have general interest in this industry at all. So one thing that we're planning to do is add practicum to this program. And I know that we mentioned that before. Let's say if a student were to take 4 courses and then they would go into practicum, from our experience so far, I would say a good percentage of people do like the industry and they want to stay in the industry. But we've actually had a few students who started working for the very first time and they totally disliked it, which is fine. Right? We just
It
gave them that
happens,
opportunity
right?
to experience it. And for them, it's a learning process. Whether they like it or not, they've actually learned what the industry is about. So we definitely can do something very similar with the senior living management industry.
Well, you can't second-guess education in the classroom, really. It's vital to survival in today's society. But really, nothing gives you a better look at what the industry is like than that hands-on experience. And I know there's other technical schools that put you into practicums like that as well. So it's great to be able to have and offer that. Terry or Reed, do you have a target date of when you might like to see this happen, or is that too premature?
Our boss would say as soon as possible, but in
Of course.
reality, it does take a few weeks to a few months for, like I said, for the approval process. But it's also for us to learn what types of courses would be, I guess, teachable to certain students. I'll just say a little bit about our target market in terms of students.
Absolutely.
They would be local students who are currently working in this industry. And ideally, I think with Reed, if he will confirm evening and weekend class offerings.
Yeah, as Marlene mentioned, with their goal with TRU was to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. So they had the online model. We are a hands-on, career training college. We're not offering online courses as of yet, but we would plan on offering this program in a way to accommodate working people and make it an evening and weekend part-time program. We know people need to work. They've got bills to pay. At the same time, you can continue your education and hopefully better your career while going to school and not having to, completely take time off of work and interrupt your entire life to do that.
Is this how you've designed other programs at Vancouver Premier College? You have experience doing this?
Our current programs are not evenings and weekends, but it's one of our main focuses right now as we develop and as we grow. We haven't had the need for it before, but as we've grown, we're actually bursting at the seams for space. So as we add more programs, more students, it became apparent that that was an option we needed to take advantage of, and it seems to me the market is there for that as well.
You've continued to reinvent yourselves to accommodate the needs, because
Absolutely.
Definitely it's made itself apparent that there is one.
Absolutely.
Marlene, you must be so excited about this marriage between Vancouver Premier College and BC Seniors Living Association. Sam as well.
Very. Very excited.
Yep.
There's a lot to offer, really, for the future for the industry, and we're hoping to solve an issue, which is finding employees. We heard all about the issue with the foreign workers a few months ago in the federal government. So why not train the local people or the people that are interested in being in the independent senior industry, part of the hospitality segment.
So, are we allowed to talk about the courses?
Yes,
We had our first
definitely.
we had our first
Absolutely.
PAC meeting. Is that what we called it?
Yes.
Pro-
Program Advisory
Program
Committee.
Advisory Committee, and it consisted of the Vancouver Premier College and the president of BCSLA, Carol Holmes, and myself, and we have one other person on the committee, but they unfortunately couldn't make it. But I think, do we have time to talk about it in this segment, or should we go to the second one for this?
Hold that thought, Marlene. We will discuss that in the next segment, because I can't wait to hear about some of the course content that's being talked about right now. We're talking about some of the developments in creating a program for staff in the seniors living community at the Vancouver Premier College and that marriage. And we'll talk about that after a quick break. In the meantime, you can get information on the website at bcsla.ca. Don't go away. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650. Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.